Good morning, and welcome to the 3-minute rise and grind with your girl, Tigress, McDaniel, Queen Gear Done. All right, so hopefully you saw my post with regards to the topics for this week's rise and grind. All right, pull it up for you. I don't want to play because if I push play, I think we're going to try it one more time. Hey, just go with it. All right. So I'm going to see if it works because I really want to see. I really want to have this use of different media and not just kind of this one-dimensional program. So let's see what it does. All right. Anybody that joins in, please just let me know if you can still hear my voice after the ad plays. All right. Okay, so hopefully you can still hear me and there's no issue with the sound, all right? And I guess we'll just address that at a later time if need be. All right, so what we're doing is we are discussing cost-based price. This is a term that I've come up with, the following term, not the former, with regards to how to set your price as an entrepreneur. I call it the ethical thirds. You'll understand why I call it the ethical thirds as we get further into our topic discussion. Foremost, I'm hoping that you have reviewed the information that I provided you last week. You should be now, if you are on the path of entering entrepreneurship and you are going along with the review sessions and topic discussions, you should at least now know exactly what you want to do, how you need to enter that market. You should have a plan in place with regards to education or licensure. You may have already applied for your EIN. You may have reserved a business name. You may have also filed a certificate of assumed name use with your local county register of deeds. You may have incorporated, and all these things are wonderful, okay? If education or if there are no further steps as far as skill set or qualifications to enter the market you wish to enter, at this juncture, you have decided what your menu will be or what your list of services and goods will be, okay? So the first thing we're going to discuss very quickly, and that will be today's discussion, is taxation. All right, we talked about generally the North Carolina Department of Revenue. And I mentioned to you that the North Carolina Department of Revenue has a 9-digit number that they assign to you, much like you would get from the IRS for your employer identification number. This number is also similar to the 9 digits that you would receive from an Experian or from Dun & Bradstreet. And I don't make the suggestion that you go that route because remember I mentioned that they have been engaged in unfair business practices for quite some time, okay? So once you have incorporated or you have decided what type of entity you will be and you have your employer identification number, which is prerequisite, keep this in mind, it's prerequisite to you contacting the North Carolina Department of Revenue, to apply for the state identification number. All right? And it only makes sense. You wouldn't need a state identification number unless you have moved the IRS to acknowledge your business as legitimate in operation, right? All right. So you have this EIN, and they have this application online for the Department of Revenue, and it's respective to your states. I don't know of any states myself that do not allow for you to apply for this online, but there may be. In North Carolina, you can apply online very, very, very easily, okay? You're going to apply for what is called sales and use tax. You're also going to apply for withholding. Now, this application can be used for both. And it does give you, the application I'm speaking of, it gives you the option to elect or to acknowledge that you intend the application for both your sales and use taxation and withholding. The withholding is exclusive to the employee or your human capital, your labor, okay? That will include both yourself if you are incorporated or, the sole proprietorship, you know how that works. So you wouldn't necessarily be a traditional employee like you would of your corporation, even though you would still yet be an employee, and straightly so. It's just the tax forms and the taxation is different, all right? You would also need that for any of your subcontractors, albeit 1099 or statutory employees. Let's say you're opening a restaurant and you need to hire bartenders and servers. Even though they don't get a traditional pay rate, and I believe it's still now $2.13 an hour plus tips or something to that effect, you still would be responsible for the withholding taxation, okay? And we're going to end here very shortly because we're at our time. I'm setting the timer now to make sure. The sales and use is going to be exclusive to the taxation for what? Sales and use. That's what it's for. All right. And normally this in this area is about 7%. There are also the sub taxation, if you will, that comes from different county based taxation for different. Sometimes you see different codification that you'll see on maybe a election ballot that tells you to or gives you the option to vote on increasing taxation or for certain things, maybe road construction. Those would come into play. And sometimes that taxation is normally under a percentage. So you may have 6.5% somewhere. That's where these percentages are coming from. If you're wondering how does that translate into commerce. All right. So you can go right online to, I believe it's just ncdor.gov. I've got it saved, so I don't know. And you will see they have the business services link. You click on that. You go through the process of applying. It's conspicuously available online. And they will issue you, sometimes automatically through that online application, a 9-digit state ID number. You will, of course, input your EIN, your federal EIN, in that application. You'll acknowledge that you are applying for both and wish your sales and use and withholding. And that same number will be used for both purposes. You can even file your quarterly returns through their online system as well. All right? So tomorrow we'll get further into price. Taxation is inseparably necessary to discuss as it relates to price. So that's why we started there. Because sometimes business owners forget about taxation. And that's where you get into major hurdles at the end of the year when you are filing your corporate or your sole proprietorship returns, and then you find that you have all this taxation that you have forgotten or have negligently ignored, and you are still yet responsible for that. So it's very important that you take care of those things up front. All right. So until Wednesday, have a wonderful, wonderful day.